Hi, welcome to Women Created and Called Live. I'm so glad you are here to join me today. We are going to talk about this question that I want you to think about. Are you hiding? There are all kinds of ways that this can show up in our lives, and it's something that I have noticed in my own life lately. And I just wanted to have a chat about it and see if it may be happening for you too. And to give you some ideas for what you can do about it. And also, before we get to that part, let's think about what it might be costing you in the process. If you are finding that you have this reoccurring temptation to hide from different parts of your life. So that is what we are talking about today on Women Created and Called Live. In case we have not met before, I am Beth McGrain-Tran, your host. And as I said, I am so thrilled that you're here with me today. So as I said, I have been thinking about this question lately because I have noticed some places in my life where I have this temptation to hide sometimes. And with the new year, I was thinking about the plans and the dreams and the goals that I have for this year. And as I thought about those, I thought, there's no room for hiding in any of that. And so I get to really look at this question and look at where are the places in my life that I have in the past, I have had the most temptation to hide. So, for me, what does hiding look like? For me, it can look like, sometimes I almost hesitate to use the word, but sometimes in coaching circles, you'll hear about weaponizing certain things that should be something good, and you use it against yourself. And I would almost say sometimes I might have a temptation to weaponize my business. And I have temptation to maybe I have a deadline to meet or something, but I have a temptation to be working on it well past the hours that I intended to work on it. And when this happens, for me, I know that is that's a red flag that I need to look at. Is there something else in my life, something with my family maybe, that I am trying to hide from? Maybe there is some kind of uncomfortable situation or something that is feeling a little cold in a relationship in my family, or it could be all kinds of things, but I definitely have in the past. And if you know my story and you heard the episode last week, there have been times in my past when I really was very much all in on my business, and really I was hiding because there was something uncomfortable in my family. And therefore, I became disconnected to them, and kind of left them in the dust as I was trying to go all in on building a business. And talk about weaponizing. At that time, as I was beginning, I actually was telling myself, I'm answering a call from God. He called me to do this. I know he did. I was so very clear on that. And I actually, as I look back on it now, I actually weaponized that call and used it against not only me, but against my family. So these are ways that hiding can show up in my life, but also it can show up just in my business in general. There are so many times when I have a thought about something that I could share with you that might really help you, and then I don't do it. I don't, I don't go live. I don't send out that email. I don't, schedule this in-person thing that I want to do. And I hide. And then that creates a cycle of embarrassment and more hiding, and all kinds of issues come up. So that is another way that it can show up for me. So what are the reasons? What are the possible reasons that we might tend to hide? I've touched on some of these a little bit already, but sometimes, like I said, it can be that there's something uncomfortable happening in some other area of your life. And because that situation doesn't feel safe, because that situation feels scary, and just really uncomfortable, sometimes it's just as simple as being uncomfortable, then our brains just tell us, oh, maybe we should go do this thing over here instead. And sometimes that takes the form of what we call buffering, where we are trying to avoid an uncomfortable situation, and so we do something else instead. Maybe that could look like if you happen to be an entrepreneur like me, or maybe you're not, maybe you work for an employer or whatever it is, but there's some task that you should be doing and you know that it's going to be uncomfortable. And so if you work at home like I do, then it could look like going to the pantry and eating chips, or sitting on the couch and eating cookies, or maybe I'm feeling a little hungry, I need a snack, or I guess all of those were food related. I guess you know what what my buffering looks like. But that is the biggest reason why we might hide, is that something is uncomfortable. But like I said, if we dig under that discomfort, sometimes there's an actual fear also. So it's always helpful if you notice that you are resisting something. If you notice that you are tempted to hide from some task or some person or some situation, it is so important to ask yourself, what am I thinking? Because ultimately, that reason why you're hiding comes down to a thought. That action of hiding, if you trace it back, is coming from a feeling, and that feeling is coming from a thought. And so if you can what we call a thought download, and that is just writing down all the thoughts that you can think of around the circumstance that's happening at that time in your life, then you can discover, what are the thoughts that are causing me to hide? And once you're aware of those thoughts and you process through the feelings that they're creating, it's not okay to just shove them aside and say, oh, I don't want to think that and feel that. I'm going to push it aside and I'm going to just be positive immediately. No, it's important to recognize, that's why I'm feeling like this. That's why I'm doing all of this buffering. And I'm not going to judge myself for it. I'm not going to get angry. Again, I'm not going to weaponize those feelings that I'm having. Of course I'm feeling that way if I'm thinking that thought. Of course I'm wanting to buffer instead of go do the thing. It's okay. It's the way my brain is wired. It shows up sometimes. It happens. Congratulations to being human. But with all of that awareness, the power in that awareness is that you then get to choose whether you want to stay there or not. So it's important to recognize that all of the possible reasons why you might be hiding, they all come down to what you are thinking. And then when you are processing through that and you're thinking about, okay, that's what I've been thinking, this is what I've been feeling, this is the actions that I've been taking. Part of processing that is, it is very, very helpful to think about what is it costing you to stay in that cycle. So for me, when I am tempted to hide from, for example, showing up on camera or sending that email or having that difficult conversation with someone in my family, when I am hiding, what is that costing me? In the case of business, hiding from the camera can result in costing me growth in my business. Hiding from family members can cost me the relationship ultimately. And we can also apply this to if we're hiding from going deeper into our faith. This is another area that I do notice myself doing this sometimes. I have a tendency to get into a pattern of checking the boxes. And as much as I have an awareness that I tend to do that, and so I'm usually kind of on my guard against not doing that. I want to make sure that I'm not just checking the boxes when it comes to my prayer life, but I do have a tendency to do that sometimes. And so it's important that I recognize it again, because when I'm aware of it, then I can do something about it. So if I am doing that, that is costing me growth in my relationship with God. That's costing me the opportunity to have a deeper faith. And ultimately, in my life, I am very aware that that trickles down to costing me opportunities in every other area of my life too. So that is some of the examples of what it costs me. So think about that for yourself. If you see an area of your life where you are hiding, where you are going to those actions of buffering instead of taking the uncomfortable action, just ask yourself, what is it costing me to stay here? To stay in this cycle? To stay stuck? I can almost guarantee you it is costing you greatly. So it's important to be aware of it. So dig up those thoughts, those feelings, that reality, so that you have the awareness and you can do something about it. So when I'm sorry, I got a little lost in my notes here. So when I have created that awareness around what I am thinking that is leading to the action of hiding, and I have processed through the feelings, then I can shift into a new thought, because remember, it ultimately all came down to the thoughts that I was feeling, or excuse me, the thoughts that I was thinking. And then I can shift into a new thought. And just this week, as I have thought about the patterns that I have seen in my own life of hiding, especially kind of in the last month or so, I've seen this, and really, okay, if I'm being honest, it has been way before this past month. But I discovered a new thought that I can practice thinking, and especially when I notice my brain showing up trying to protect me again. Because really, that has been the reasons that I am stopping and not taking action in some way, is that my brain is trying to protect me. So I have to give a shout out to my coach, Lisa Canning. If you don't know her, please look her up. She's amazing. But she helped me see this protection that was happening in my brain. And she even suggested that I give it a name. So I decided to name it protection. I don't know, something about it sounds kind of pretty to me. Maybe that's interesting. Maybe that's a bad thing that it sounds pretty. Maybe that's why I keep it around so much. But the thought that I decided I would say to this personality in my brain called protection, when I think about the big dreams that I have for this year and the big goals and the things that I would do if I were not hiding, here's what I would say. I would say, thank you, protection, but I'm going to have fun trying. Now, for me, fun is a big motivator for me. I don't know if you're familiar with the 4 temperaments, but I am a sanguine and a phlegmatic. And the sanguine part of me, and those two are, for me, are very close to even. And the sanguine in me loves fun and adventure and trying new things and interacting with people and all of these kinds of things. So that is what I would say to that part of my brain that's always trying to protect me. I would say, thank you, protection, but I'm going to have fun trying this year. And I just am going to do all the fun things I can think of to move me closer to those goals and move me closer to the dreams that I have for this year. And I have dreams in those 3 major areas of my life. I have set goals for my faith life, for my family life, and for my business. And I'm ready to go for it. Because a thought that I had earlier in the month was, there is nothing little about, it was no more pretending like little old me is just over here hiding in the corner. Because there is nothing little about what this not so old, I'm not so old, I don't think of myself as old. There's nothing little about what this not so old me is up to in the world. And I want you to think about that for yourself too. The fact is that I'm called to more of being me, the me that God created me to be. And that's true for you too. You are called to more also. So I would love to know, what are the big things that you are up to this year? I would love to know. Please share in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. and let us know, what are the big things that you are up to this year? Now, I gotta say a little thing here. I know that it might be hard to say it out loud, because when we say it out loud, a piece of us it's like, then you got to commit to it. Then you got to do it because you actually shared it with somebody else. And so that can be a little scary, but I want to encourage you. Your dreams matter. Your goals matter. And so let us cheer you on. Everybody who comments on this episode is available to cheer you on for your dreams this year. And why do those matter? Because God put them in your heart for a reason. He's calling you to something more, something big. And, when we think about the word big, maybe the world might see it as big and maybe they won't. And it does not really matter. But you get to be more of you, and you get to share more of you with the world, because that's why you're here. You are here to be a gift to the world, literally God's gift to the world, by sharing your unique gifts. So, once again, what are the big things that you are up to this year? Please share them in the comments. And that's about all I've got for you today. So but I will see you next week. And until then, God bless you and all those that you love. Bye.